Right, good afternoon, people of YouTubes. We need to make a start on this, ready for the season. I've got planned loads of changes this year to get this up and going. Now, the first race is in May at Alton Park. Now, I'm not entirely sure if I'm going to make that in time or not with everything else I've got going on at the minute. But hopefully we should be able to. Now, I can't remember in my last video that I've done on this what I've explained, but basically I think the oil cooler shat itself and dumped loads of coolant in the oil, and then obviously when I started up and then walked away knowing that it was running fine when I parked it up, it's no longer running fine, and that was sucking up water, so there wasn't any lubrication and the engine started to get a bit knocky. So I've drained what oil was in there and I've put some other cheap oil in with a flush, and the engine sounds okay, but I'm not going to risk it. I've got another engine that we're going to build up I'll show you. So I've got another second-hand engine which we're going to build up the same as that one. So it's going to have a paying head gasket, competition head gasket. That's all the other gaskets, and then we've got a competition oil pump which has got the 11.5 mil steel gears in it, and I've got myself a lightened pulley as well, just because while we're in there type thing. But that is not going to be in this video. I'll do a separate video on building that up. This video is going to be removing the front subframe and getting everything swapped over to my new setup. So we're going TF style suspension. This has got F style suspension with the Mike Satur coilover conversion kit, as you know from the previous episodes. We're going away from that because I can't get it low enough to it's really high, you know, so there's a lot of weight up top. So the idea in this pre-season is to lighten everything up as much as we can and get everything down to a more reasonable level of gravity, basically. So we're going to whip this subframe out. That is already sold. The back subframe is already sold. I should have done this months ago, but luckily the guy is very understanding. I've just had too much on my plate at the minute. So he said whenever. So, but it's whenever's getting too far now. So we're going to crack on, at least get the front subframe off, get the rear subframe off and the engine off. That's going to be another episode, and get them palleted ready to be shipped out. Just because he's waiting on it, I don't like to keep people waiting too much, and yeah, then we can crack on. He's paid a deposit for it, so when that other money comes through from the sale of the subframe, that's basically going to pay for my tyres, because we're going for 60-inch wheels this year, because we've got some bigger brakes going on the front. So we're going to have 16-inch tyres, different type of tyre as well, or different brand of tyre. So yeah, I think that's enough for me waffling. I've been waffling on for about 5 minutes now. Another thing that I've been doing, which I might put into a short actually, is exhausts. So I've done a clip of the standard exhaust, which I had on there, which is a TT Mark 3R with a Piper Sports Cat. I've just put this on, which is a TT Mark 7. That's got a Toyo decal on it, and the one for my TF, which is a GT Super Sport decal. So I'll overlay all them clips, and then that'll give you a comparison to, you know, the types of exhausts out there. Now the TT Mark 7 and the GT Super Sport has got roughly the same sort of sounds. I thought the TT Mark 7 would be a lot quieter than the GT Super Sport, but I've just started it up and my god, it's loud. I think it's even louder than the GT Super Sport, to be honest with you. But again, if the mic picks it up, I'll put it in there and you can be the judge of that. Compared to that thing is super quiet, but I guess it's got to be for track regulations and decibel readings and all that sort of stuff. So I'm hoping with either that or the GT Super Sport with the Piper D or the Piper Sports Cat, that should quieten either one of them two down enough to run up, because at the minute, having that fitted, it doesn't sound like a race car. And I'm sorry, but you got to have it sounding like a race car. If you feel like you're driving a race car, then you're going to perform like you're driving a race car, in my theory anyway. But anyway, I'm not going to go too much into depth in removing this subframe, because it's fairly straightforward. And it is an F subframe with coilover conversion, so it's almost the same as a TF sort of like fitment, and it's got all the TF cross braces and everything on it. So I'll get it up into the air, and I'll point out all the bits and pieces that you'll need to undo to get it out, and then we're just going to get on and get it down on the floor, and then we can start swapping some bits over onto the new subframe, because I'm going to keep some of the bits on this old subframe, and I've got some new bits on the new subframe, so we're just going to mix and match the best bits basically, and go from there. So anyway, enough waffling, let's get up in the air and I'll tell you the points of disconnect. Alright, so under the car, hope you can see okay. I've got the torch on my phone I'm using today, and also I've got a torch here as well. But yeah, the first and foremost thing that I'm going to have to do is I'm going to have to remove the front bumper. You don't have to do that, but I'm going to have to get these oil lines out of the way and get them dropped down. They're all going to need flushing out anyway, so we'll get them out of the way. And I think I'll disconnect the oil cooler takeoff pipe or plate, and then just leave that hanging and just put an oil filter back on, just so I can continue on running it. But we're going to drain all these lines and flush all these lines out, because obviously the contaminated oil, and try and get as much out as that possible. But yeah, anyway, the first thing that you're going to need to do is get your coolant pipes out of the way. So you need to drain your coolant, because as you see the subframe comes above there. Sometimes if you're on an F, you'll get a little bar that goes across there. You can see the stud just poking down from that spare wheel well. And again, I think the TF, this cross brace bolts onto that, but at the minute the cross braces are just bolted together, so it's not actually connected to the wheel tub whatsoever, so you'll need to undo that. The steering column, you'll need to go inside the car to get that disconnected. There's a 10mm bolt on the floor and on a lot of UJ, so you can just disconnect that, and that just, the sliding joint will just come straight off. What else is there? Brakes, you'll need to disconnect the brakes, either disconnect the hydraulics, but you will need to bleed the brakes, or you can just unbolt the caliper from the carrier and just hang it somewhere. That's what I normally do. And if you're running an F and you've got the hydrogas, then obviously you'll either need to disconnect the hydrogas lines, which means degassing, or again you can take the 4mm or 4 10mm bolts that holds the plate onto the hydrogas. Oh, there's a little bug there, which holds the hydrogas can in place, and then leave the hydrogas can hanging. And then it is literally 4 bolts there, 4 bolts there. If you've got an F, there'll only be 3 bolts. And then obviously you've got 2 bolts there. I think one's a bolt and one's a nut and a bolt. And then same on the other side for that mount. And then it should just fall out. But obviously don't undo all these main mounting points until you've got it on like a pallet or on something. I normally use a shopping cart trolley thing, one of them that you get all your click and collect stuff off. I've got a few of them, and they're perfect size to drop subframes onto. But yeah, anyway, I'm going to get on and get all this apart. As I say, I need to get the bumper off first, and then get this oil cooler lines out of the way with, and then hopefully we can drop this subframe. It shouldn't take me too long at all. Oh, the other thing that I forgot to mention is the battery cable, because again that's that goes under the subframe, so you'll need to undo that main battery cable from the battery itself. Yeah, I think mine goes to a junction box just up there, so yeah, you just have to feed that down and let it drop down, same as the coolant hoses. Right, enough waffling, let's crack on and get this done and off. Right, I've got the oil cooler lines off. Looks like I've bloody spilled a tub of emulsion on the floor, but yeah, I've taken the adapter plate off and just screwed the oil filter back in, just so that when I've done the front subframe, hopefully that'll only be in for a couple of days to do that, I can then drive it back out again. So just take you around the front. So I've got the front bumper off. Had to take the crash bar off because that was all bolted on there. And to undo these, I had to take the crossbar off because there's not enough room to get the A10 spanner in there. But I can't get these pipes out because where I fed them through is right in between that box section that goes on top of the subframe and the actual body itself. So I know what I've done. I fed them through, and then I put the subframe up on top of that. But the new subframe, we're going to do away with these big old box sections that goes across the top, and I've got some nice Mike Satur stainless tubular ones. So hopefully that'll make things a little bit more accessible for getting these pipes out in the future. Right, so next thing I'm going to do is I'm just whip these wheels off. See if I can get that cooler off, because that's going to have to get flushed through because it's full of emulsified oil. Hopefully we can just flush that out with a bit of petrol. Same with them lines. Yeah, so we're going to get the wheels off, and then get the brakes off and get the steering column bolt out. Let's have a look, which is that one down there, it's a little 10mm, so you just undo that, that's a little pinch bolt, and then that steering column, that's on a slider joint there, and that will just come up. Yeah, again I've got all the coolant drained as well, so that's all out the way. So once I've done them 3 jobs, get that brake out the way, get that steering column out the way, this whole subframe is pretty much ready to drop on a pallet. So, right, let's crack on. Right, so I think we're about there now. I've disconnected the hydraulic lines to the caliper. So they've been draining onto a cloth. Get some of the old fluid out because we did a full flush on it as well. ABS sensors all disconnected. And yes, I still run ABS because I'm a pansy. But no, it's generally just because of the wet weather that I'm still running the ABS, because it is a benefit to not have an ABS, shall we say. Anyway, so yeah, brakes disconnected, ABS lines disconnected, the steering column is all disconnected. What else is that? The battery cable, that's all disconnected. You see I've got a junction box on here. New battery. I'll do an install video on that when we go to put it in properly. But yeah, the weight difference is amazing. So, but we'll come to that on the next video anyway. I digress. I've got the supermarket pallet underneath on wheels and with some blocks of wood, so that's all now supported, and I've undone all the mountings, so we should in theory be able to go up with a lift and hopefully not snag up on anything. So let's go for it, shall we? So far so good. I'll just give it a check, make sure we're not snagging it on anything. I mean, them hoses will bend anyway, so they'll be absolutely fine, but I can't see anything else that's connected in a sense. I think I might have to pull these lines a bit through for the oil cooler, but hopefully there's enough length on them where I can get the car fully up in the air. Well, actually I might be able to feed all the lines through here now that box section is out the way. So yeah, right, let's go up a bit more. Just have another little look, make sure nothing is snagging. No, that's alright, that battery cable will trail out. Oil cooler lines are staying where they need to stay. I can't see any other obstructions. Right, so we can go fully up in the air now. Stick that in its locks, and there we have it. One complete front subframe. So we'll get this wheeled out into the open somewhere, and then we can start taking the bits off that we need to take off. So the bits that we're taking off are all the red bars, braces, anti-roll bars and all that sort of stuff. These arms, they were new arms when I built this up a couple of years ago, but we need these. That's just a little bit of surface corrosion. The brakes I'm going to keep for a future project for the Metro, as well as the discs, because it's got some nice pads in these. The hubs can stay, all this can stay on the subframe, the box section can stay. I need the stainless mounts, the toe and eyes, and the ABS. So let's get this wheeled out and start stripping some bits off. Right, there we go, that's all stripped apart. So everything on there is what's going to to the new owner's home. The only thing I couldn't get off was the ABS sensors. The bolts are seized into the hub, so I'm going to have to get some ABS sensors and the little plastic spacer type things for the new one, but that's no issue at all. So yeah, nicely refurbished subframe. These weren't refurbished. I put new bearings in them, new ball joints, and then just gave them a coat of I think that was stone chip at the time, but yeah, no, that's still in good condition. Obviously all the Mike Satur coilover conversion kit, same on this side as well. So yeah, that's going to be going, and the rear is going to be going as well in the same sort of condition, plus the rear is going to have the roll bar, because it's got the modified roll bar to clear the upper arms that I had to get. I'm not sure if I can show you because I've got the wheels on, but it's got a modified roll bar, and I think the links are, yeah, it's got built links on it with black series bushers. So that's going to be going in the same condition as this. That's all been recently done and powder coated, all new hubs. Again, I've shot blasted all their new bearings and stuff like that and painted them up. So they're going to be more new than what these front ones are. So yeah, I've got all the bits here, so all the mountings and stuff. The brakes, they'll be going on the Metro because they've been freshly refurbished, and I've got some nice big 4 pots to go onto the F with some spicy pads, and then obviously steering rack, roll bar, and the cross brace to go back onto the new subframe. That's not the new subframe. I've got a black powder coated one here for the front, and the rear one, which I've started to build up. Again, all brand new hubs, brand new arms, pliers, bushers, everything on this is brand spanking new. And there's a few things that I need to take off the old one, and obviously got all brand new LE500 front hubs there as well to go on. So the only thing that we're going to use, which is not refurbished, is the steering rack. Yeah, I literally took it off the donor car and then stuck it straight on, and the only thing I've done is I put new track rod ends on. But yeah, that's going to be, I was thinking about going for the orange band ones on the TF because it's slightly quicker, but I think we'll just see how this one fares up with no power steering and go from there. Maybe that's going to be a 2024 season adjustment, not sure yet. We'll see how we get on this season first. But yeah, anyway, that is all off. I'm going to start building up the new subframe. I'll just take you into the office, and this is the Mike Satur, what he called the TransFormer kit, which is a coilover conversion, basically, and it's got the Camber things on as well. But what I'll do is not in this video, but I'll get all this fitted onto the new subframe, get the new subframe in, but I'll record this Camber adjustment plate for a separate video, which you'll probably see after the fitting of the subframe. So if anyone's interested in how to do these, then yeah, you'll have to wait to the next video to see that. Right, let's get on to building the front subframe. I'm not going to go too much into it. I'm just going to get it done, get it onto the pallet, and then start fitting it up, because I really need to get this car off the ramp for next week. So we'll crack on and do that, and I'll give you, before I get it up into the car, I'll show you what it all looks like. Blah de blah de blah blah blah. Right, crack on. Right, so this is the shiny new subframe that I got, TF suspension pickup points. I'm just fitting the camber adjustments plates, because you have to do some drilling and some grinding to get them to fit. I'll do another video on that to explain how to do that. So I'm just going to knock this other side out, record that. I've done that one off camera just so that I know how to do it, but I'll record doing this one, and yeah, that'll be a separate video purely dedicated for camera adjustment, because I don't think Mike Satur has actually done a video on his YouTube channel about that. I know he's done a brief one on Facebook, hence the reason why I know how to do it. But yeah, I'll do a separate video for that, but I'll just go around. So that's the front plate. You don't have to do any drilling or anything on that side. That's just this side. You have to do some drilling for the two mounting points, and then you have to grind down the welds so that plate fit flush. You can see the welds stick out a little bit, so just grind them flat with a flat wheel. Excuse me. So we'll give that a little bit of a paint. It's a shame really that I've had to destroy this powder coating, but we'll give it some hammerite to hopefully protect that. And yeah, so let's get on and get the other one done, and then start mounting, or start putting everything back together on this front subframe. Right, we started to build everything up. I've got the top camber arm plates all sorted and ready for adjustment, as they say. I'm not really too sure if I've done something wrong, or if something is not seated correctly, but I don't seem to be getting full camber without one end kicking out. So you push one end in, and then when you go to push the other end in, it then kicks it back out again. So I think I'll need some playing with. Anyway, I've done another video for that, so how to install them. Yeah, so we've got all the bottom arms in. We've got the new LE500 front hubs in. They're old arms. Well, they were new when I first built this a couple of years ago, and they've got Black Series bushes in. All the bushes look good, so, and the ball joint is good, so we'll stick them back in. And yeah, if anyone has tried to fit Black Series bushes into an MGF front arm, you'll know the struggle. Trust me, we had bloody ratchet straps and everything trying to pull the thing in, and even if you bloody lever it in or hit it with a hammer to get it in, that just pop straight out again. So yeah, that was a bit of a struggle, that was. But yeah, anyway, both sides front arms are in. That was the hardest bit. Again, another brand new LE500 front hub. We've got the steering rack in now as well. So yeah, I've painted up the backs of the subframe, and when we had to grind it down. So just waiting for that to dry before we fit the arms, which will be tomorrow now. So I'm on school run duties today, so I'm going to have to go and pick the child up from school, and then we'll have another hit at it tomorrow. As you can probably hear, I'm bloody out of breath trying to get these front arms in. That's bloody, yeah. I'll just leave it like that. But yeah, the next thing we need to do is obviously get the top arms in, get them bolted in, get the shocks in place, and then we've got new cross braces to go in as well, and then the mounts, and then that's literally ready to go in, apart from we need to drill out the holes in the top here, you can see there's a little bit of a dome there. That's where the old hydrogen gas sphere used to be. So basically we need to find the centre of that and drill a 2-inch hole in there with a hole saw at a slight angle, and that should be enough clearance to poke the tops of the struts in. So yeah, anyway, I'm going to disappear off home, and then I'll catch back up with you in the morning.
The next day.
Right, I'm just doing final assembly on the subframe, and I don't know if you've seen my other video about the camber adjustment, but I was having troubles getting it to pull up straight. It was trying to kick out one of the sides when it was all fully tightened down, but I found a reason, and just in there on that captive nut there was a weld, and that was protruding. You see what I've done to grind it down with the little Dremel tool, but yeah, just had to grind the weld down, and now I've got full range of camber adjustment now. But it was a bit strange because the other side, the right hand side, was absolutely fine. It's just this side. But yeah, that little weld, that was only a little spot weld, tack weld type thing, but that was enough to throw everything off. And obviously when I had full adjustment on this side, and we was tightening it down, that's then kicking out this side. But yeah, that is the reason why. Zoom out a little bit more. Yeah. So I'm happy with that now. Just thought I'd give you an update, just in case that you ever get stuck on that. But yeah, we're going to get all this back together and ready to put back into the vehicle. Right, we've got this all in place now on this side. I'll take you through the other side because there's a procedure to fit in these. But basically you get some plain lock, not lock, but plain threaded nuts that you need to use to lock against the lock nuts while you're torquing it up, basically. So what I'll do is I'll get all that in place on the other side, get the shock in, and bolted up to the top. That's 45 Newton meters, and then I'll take you through the tightening procedure, because the instructions are clear, but it can be quite confusing. Well, for me it was to begin with, but once I got my head around it, yeah, I learn by seeing and doing, not by reading instructions, unfortunately. So I'll get the other shock in the other side and get that top mount bolted up, and then we will get on and show you procedure on fitting these bottom bushers, basically, or the bottom of the shock onto the arm. Right, hopefully you can see okay. As you can see, I've got the shock assembly in, and I've got it on the non-lock nuts at the minute, just to nip it up and get it all sitting nice. I've already torqued this up 45 Newton meters, and the setup is, you got the spring, you got the gas top plate, and then you've got a conical washer that needs, the dome bit needs to be facing up, the flat bit facing down, and then you've got the bush, and then you've got a space that goes in between the bush, which slides over the shaft, and then you've got to put it all up, and then you've got another bush on top with another conical washer with the flat side facing upwards, and then the nut. It all comes built up as it should, as it all should go together. Mike's really good at that. So yeah, just put it back together how you take it apart basically. But anyway, I've got the bottom of the shock in. There's a little bit of a special procedure for tightening these up. If I zoom you in a little bit, hopefully. So you've got this peg, or this threaded bar basically, that's machined perfectly to fit inside this arm. So you need to push this bit in first, and then you've got a small spacer or washer, and then the shock, and then you've got another washer, and then you've got the nut. On the other side you have got a repair washer, like a big washer, and then you've got the nut. So what you need to do is we do this side first, and all I'm going to do is spin that nut off. And fit the lock nut. And that needs to be done up at 100 Newton meters. And then you'll need to hold this in place as well. And once that's done up, we can now remove this lock nut. You can see that spacer or washer here, and then just fit the new lock nut, and that needs to be tightened down to 85 Newton meters. And that's it. That's all you need to do. Pretty much a basic swap on, swap off jobby. Yeah, obviously you get the new arms with the kit, which you'll have to change over because obviously, as I said, this threaded insert is machined into this arm, so they are an exchange unit. So the biggest hurdle you're going to have is removing the pin, the upper arm pin, and the box sections to gain access to that. So it might be worth just dropping all the subframe anyway. But yeah, anyway, that is it. That's the correct procedure to tightening up these bottom arms or the bottom of the shocks. Yeah, so we'll carry on and get the rest of it all built up. Right, just cutting the holes for the top of the turrets. So as you can see, I've taken that out. I've used a 2.5 inch hole saw. I thought I had a 2-inch one, but I don't. So a 2.5 inch one it is. So I've just got all this electronics box out of the way, and just gonna basically copy the other side, mirror the other side. So all I'm doing is this dome here. I'm just finding the center point to that roughly, and because I'm using a 2.5 inch bit, you know, you don't have to be too accurate because you'll have a lot of wiggle room, shall we say. But yeah, I'm trying to get it as centre as possible and then get it cut out. Now I'm going to have a little bit of an issue because of this bracket here. Not too sure if that will go in there or not, but if it don't, we'll soon smack it out of the way, give me a bit of room, and then we'll bend it back again. So bear with me, I'll just do that, and then hopefully we can get on and fit the subframe. You see it's all built up now apart from the roll bar and the bottom cross brace, but I'll take you through all that when we go to fit it in place. So right, let's get this sorted, and then we can get some paint around the bare metal surfaces, and yeah, get the subframe fitted. Right, here we go. We're all ready to get back into the actual car body itself. I've given these a little bit of a paint to try and protect them a little bit. But yeah, everything's all built up. We've got our Mike Satur crash bars in, stainless steel ones. All the stainless steel mounts that were on the old subframe. The old bottom wishbones, but we've put all new bolts in. Old steering rack, new LE500 front hubs. We're going for the big 4-pot calipers this time instead of the standard single pot 240mm discs. These are 302mm discs, EBC ones, and I've gone for the EBC RP1 race pad as well. So proper spicy boy race pads. If I've got a picture, I'll put a picture up. Yeah, so everything on the bolts as well to hold the caliper in place. You can see it all on the back there. What was the other thing we done? Oh yeah, the towing highs. Beforehand, I had them bolted up through onto that captive nut there. But when the engine blew up at Cadwell and they towed me off, they yanked the car, and it literally yanked the captive nut off the subframe. So I've drilled that captive nut out to 12mm, and we've got a nice big strong bolt in there with a lock nut to stop that from happening. But yeah, we're all ready to go back in, so we're going to lower the car down and get everything bolted back up again. I've left all these mounts fairly loose. I try not to fall over while doing it with my foot, but yeah, they're fairly loose. So that'll just aid getting it all in. You can get to these front mounts with a torque wrench, so we can torque them up when the all the subframe is up in the body. I think it's the only ones you can't do is the rear ones, because I think the actual mount itself, you can't see, but all the mounts itself are hidden. So right, let's get this up in the car, and then we can get on and fit the roll bar and the cross brace. And then apart from bleeding the brakes, and oh yeah, talking about brakes, I still need to order some ABS sensors to go onto there. So yeah, I'll need to remember to do that. Probably do that this evening while I'm sat down watching boring old soaps. So right, let's get this up in the car and then we can crack on and try and find the next job. Right, so I thought I'd just cut in and give you a little helpful tip. As you can see, I've got the subframe bolted in now. Now what a lot of people don't realise is there's a little hole in your subframe mount, and that's an 8mm hole, and there's one in your body as well, and there's one at the rear on either side. Now you can either use an 8mm punch, or I just chuck an 8mm bolt in there. That's not threaded or anything, but that'll just push straight in, and that will align the subframe perfectly, basically. So you can either, again, just use a little bit of 8mm threaded bar or bolt of the head cut off, and you can push it up into the body. It might hold, it might drop off, but that will help you to align it. So all these bolts will just go in finger tight, and that won't cause you no grief. Right, so I'm going to torque all these bolts up now. So these rear ones here, these 4 rear ones, or if you've got an F, there should only be 3. They're 45 Newton meters, and then the 2 13mm ones at the front, they're 30 Newton meters, and then the big 22mm nuts, or the big ones that hold the actual mount onto the subframe, front and rear, are 100 Newton meters. So I'm just going to get this up in the air and get all these torqued down, and that'll be the subframe all bolted in then. Right, there we go. We're all back as it should be, basically. Everything's all bolted up, everything is all torqued down. The only thing that I am missing is the front ABS sensors, but we can soon stick them on at a later date, no problem at all. So the top of the turrets, I'll just show you them. So we've got that one there, and that one there. So plenty of clearance around there, no issues whatsoever. And then obviously we got all underneath here, all the mounts are all torqued down, all the tow eye straps are all tightened up, cross brace is on, the anti-roll bar is on, the battery cable is back up where it needs to be and secured, the coolant hoses are all in. Yeah, that's it. Oh yeah, steering column bolt, that's all done up as well. Haven't torqued that, I just nipped it up with a ratchet. Again, they don't need to be crazy tight. But yeah, that's oh yeah, the only other thing I've got to do as well is obviously when we do the ABS sensors, we'll just bleed the brakes, but I haven't got an adapter that puts my pressure bleeder onto one of these, so I'm gonna have to wait for someone else to show up and borrow their foot for a few minutes. But yeah, no, that's all good. All brake lines are in ready anyway, so again, it's all there basically. Just letting you look around it. I'm really happy with it. So yeah, I'm not going to bother doing anything with this for the moment. The next video on this, I guess, is going to be making a battery, or mounting this battery. I'm not too sure whether I'm going to use these screw-on posts and then just use the original factory, or if I'm going to cut these off and put eyes on there, or eyelets on there I should say, because I've got to do the same with this one as well. So we'll probably cut that off and just put an eye on there. But yeah, I just need to find or measure this cable, and then obviously get the right eye to go on there, you know what I mean. So anyway, I think that's going to do it for this episode. I'm not really too sure how long this is going to be. I edited the camber adjustment video last night, and I've posted that up. So that was a nice and easy one to do, just to get a video out there. So this is going to be the one after, basically. I think earlier on I said that the camber one was going to be later on, but turns out that's going to be the earlier one. Anyway, I'm going to leave it here for today. I will sort out the next video and get that out to you ASAP. At the minute I'm ahead of schedule. My 2023 goal is to have a video a week, and I'm 2 videos ahead at the minute, and that's without the couple of shorts that I've done either. So yeah, we're way ahead on schedule. So I don't know whether you want me to edit these and get them out ASAP. At the minute we're doing like 2 a week, but you might have like a couple of weeks break when we haven't got anything planned. So do you want me to hang on to the videos and do one a week, or get them out as and when I edit them out? You know, leave it in the comments and we'll go from there, basically. Right, anyway, that's enough waffling. Oh, that's another thing, looking at the inside of this. Obviously this is a livery I had last year, trying to go on the old Mercedes CL Le Mans car and the DTM C-Class, but I've decided that we're going to go stickless this year. You can see like why I put the stickers on. You can see the blend line in the paint where someone's painted this wing before, and when I took the stickers off, there's a couple of patches here that took the lacquer off, and here as well. This is the quarter that I had all repainted last year, but what's all out there? Oh, that's right. Yeah, so that obviously when we painted this, that was about -2, -3 outside, and the workshop was only just above freezing. So I'm not surprised that lacquer came off. I'm surprised no more came off, to be honest with you. But yeah, anyway, let me know what you think about the non-graphics for this season. All we're going to have is the safety graphics, you know, the battery cut off, the toe pointers, and then obviously the obligatory number, which we're changing this year from 85 to a different number. So yeah, let me know what you think. Do you prefer the graphics, or do you prefer non-graphics? Right, I promise that is enough waffling. I'm going to edit this and get it out to you. So thank you for being patient with me and watching all the way through. That really do help, and we will see you in the next video.